Ladies and gentlemen, I fooled you once again. I love that intro so much, I keep reusing it. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Tom, otherwise known as Striking, here in the digital media world. We're so glad to be with you on DYOR Live here on the DYOR Media Network. It is January 25th, 2024. We're approaching February very quickly, which means we're approaching March very quickly, which means we're approaching April, and April is what? April is when the halving is, or halvening, however you say it. It doesn't matter. It's 84 days away, or 83, depending on what time zone you're in. And it's going to be a watershed event, or it could be a nothing event. But anyway, there's a lot of time between now and then, and a lot of things that could happen. But the first thing that's going to happen is I'm bringing on the stage Pedro Garcia, ladies and gentlemen. Pedro!
What's up, guys? How you guys doing? Hope everybody's doing well. It is a nice, beautiful day out where I am in the world. If you guys could do us a favor, throw a couple comments down there. Tell me where you're at or where you would love to be. As you all know, that engagement helps with the algorithm and allows us to be able to get this stuff out there so everybody can absolutely love it. 2, if you could do me a favor, hit that like button that you see down there, that little thumbs up, click that, hit subscribe. I'd appreciate that. And
right down here, hit that like button on the desktop or over here on the mobile or wherever the heck it is.
Wherever that is. And make sure and all of it that you guys are subscribed to what we're doing so you can stay up to date with all the news when it comes to charting, as well as news when it comes to just simple crypto news and world news. I mean, I think we cover a lot of that, right? Like world news, like
we cover all kinds of stuff that's way out of our league too to talk about, but we cover it, ladies and gentlemen.
We sure do. At least keeping people abreast with what's actually going on in the world. I think just even knowing like, hey, like Russia wants to call a truce with Ukraine and reaching out to America, which I think is interesting. And he might just be wanting to get part of that Bitcoin so that he can have money so he can put it in Bitcoin instead of putting it into war. So
that's right. Does. Welcome, Troublesome Creek. I saw you posted there. We do have an answer for you from Patrick Camuso, our crypto CPA guy. That's, well, it's not right down there. Let's let's see if we can fix that for right now.
Can you hear me now? Is that better, guys?
I can hear you, Pedro.
Okay.
Yeah. But Camuso CPA here. Later in the show, I'll run the video that Patrick gave us. As you may suspect, it's kind of a lawyerly answer, even though he's a CPA, but still, it gets you some information to get you going. Pedro?
Yes, sir.
What's going on with BTC?
That is a great question. All right, so let's check it out right now. So Bitcoin obviously has hit our supply area up here where I've talked about now almost for months ad nauseum, which is that 48,000 to the 45,000. We hit it, we sold off like we've talked about, and now we are trending off of that 8-period moving average, as you can see right here as we keep touching it. Now, like I said the other day, we needed to close above the 100-day period moving average with volume, and as you can see here, if I could see something like that, that would be great, but we do not have a ton of volume that would push us to close above it. So now I'm more apt to think we're going to continue down, and we're coming up to touch that 8-period moving average, which is our trending SMA, and we should see it come on down to this nice little pink line, which is the 200-day period moving average. While at the same time, this is I actually realized I was right. It was a fair value gap on the ICT trading. So there's going to be some traders buying in this level, where you also have institutional people coming in at that 33,000 mark area. It's going to be really interesting to see what happens there. We should see a fair bounce and come and test that 100-day period moving average, which would look something like this. And here we go. It would look something like this. We'd come down, touch this, and then see this, wind it down, boom, something like this.
Well, look at you drawing on the screen now. Oh, Pedro getting a little crazy.
And there we go. That's what I do expect to see. I could be wrong. Hopefully, I'm absolutely wrong, so all you guys can be like this right here. Like that. Oh, look at me trying to be funny here. But that's it in a nutshell. That's what we have for today, at least what I'm looking at with BTC. Obviously, you all know that we can go through and we can check out other stuff that you want me to check out. But as of right now, what's interesting and noteworthy is that we're hearing a lot of information going on. People trying to push that ETF for Ethereum, right? Trying to get that going. So you can see here that Ethereum is selling off as well. We came up to our 27 mark area with our supply area. And so for me, by looking at that, it screams to me that it really wants to keep continuing down. We bounced off of here. We're seeing a lot of still sell volume, and we're just kind of consolidating off of that 89 and 100-day period moving average. But we don't even see any red. We don't even see any green days, which is a sign to me that it's about to go down again. So it's going to be really interesting to see the institutions come in and buy in at these lower levels of that 1750 area and possibly 1600 area.
Well, I think from my point of view that if Bitcoin's going to see a lower level, it'll drag ETH down with it, regardless of what's going on in the Ethereum world there.
Absolutely.
So it's just gonna happen. But in both BTC and ETH, but really back to BTC, what could cause it to recover from this downward spiral right now? What is there? Is there some couple of big green days in a row, or some fundamental news that's good for something, or something like that?
Well, it would have to be more fundamental news, or just somebody outright. Michael Saylor going in and just buying, another 25,000, 30,000. But here's the thing: he's a smart man.
Yeah.
He knows that the institutions are looking for buyers. Right, like we're seeing Grayscale every single day sell off positions. So what they need buyers to step in so they can take those buyers and put their shorts to it. And Michael's a smart guy. He wouldn't be feeding the fire here. All he would do is be snuffing it out, because that institution are looking for buyers so that they can offload their sellers, or so they can offload their stuff. Right, because they've been buying all the way down here. Grayscale was buying through all this, right? Like, this is institutional buying. Look, it literally pushed to the 100 or 200, came down and bounced off the 100, 200, right? Then it came down to the 50, right? Kind of floundered around back in this demand zone, and then we started rallying up. This is an institutional algorithm being played right here. So now they're just looking, they're selling off their position. They've got a bunch of position right in this level here. So I would think, I can't think of anything else that would really make it want to push up, except for, i.e., the halving. What is this show about? Oh, snap. What up, Mikey?
Snap.
How you doing? Oh, snap. So
Crypto Mike, welcome. Oh, Canada. No sound effects this week in the temporary studio.
But in the same sense, that's really the only thing from a fundamental level that we're getting to. And the fact is that we're near, and I was looking, I think it's now, isn't it, the halving been moved to what was it? Is it the what was it? It was April 19th, right? I think that's what it was.
Yeah, I don't know what day exactly it is. Depends on how the blocks sort out.
Yeah, I think somebody said it was the 18th or 19th, as I was reading an article based off of how they're actually being sorting out, as you said. But here's the thing, right? It's not a bad thing, this is a fluctuation. Like we see every single time when we look at the market, right? Before it, we see a rally up. Then what do we see? A push down. Look, it's the same thing. Rally up, come down, rally up halfway, come down, almost to the bottom, and then we see huge rally. Boom, boom. Guess what happens? It happens again.
Yeah, this page says April 20th and 85 days, but I was looking at another page earlier that said, I guess it depends what. I don't know. To be honest, I don't know exactly what it depends on. I know they count by blocks, and when they're estimating when that block is going to come out, but. This website says 85 days on April 20th. The other one I looked at, which I made the show graphics for and talked about earlier, said April 19th and then 84 days from now.
Yeah, so there's a few days out there, but either way, I mean, we're coming to it. It's happening. The happening is happening, and get-
Can you pull
happening.
your mic closer to your mouth, Pedro? We're still getting a little
Yes.
audio.
Let me go ahead. Is that better? Is that better right there?
I think it's auto adjusting it. I tell you what. Let me turn the auto adjusting off, and I'll turn it up.
You'll let us know. Alrighty. But like ultimately, what I'm really looking in this movement is really just another come down, right? Like, and it's not a bad thing. We see it almost every single before we come into the halving, right? Boom, we see the sell off, right? Whereas it potentially could come back down to these levels right here. Now, you know me, not that I'm perma bear, but I really think that the institutions really, really, really want to push this market down. So I think they potentially could get lower than this level right here. People don't want to hear that mess, but I'm just saying that's around the 14,000. I would love it because I could buy in again, which would be nice.
There'll be riots in the street. They'll be storming the Capitol. There'll be all kinds of bad stuff will happen. It gets down to 15 again.
But in the same sense, coming down, it's not, we're not breaking anything. It's not, nothing's being shattered here. Coming back down, getting buyers, and then seeing another rally up hardcore into the halving as we move forward. So it's gonna be really interesting. Really interesting also to see how the hedge funds are going to handle this, right? Like, if they're up 400%, 500% within a year, right? 600% at these lows at 15,000, potentially from 15,000, we could see this baby rally all the way back up to 100, 200, even 300,000, right? So with that said, if that was to get like at that point, like we keep talking about an infinite system going into a finite hole, listen, that's just so much money coming in as it starts to move. Like I see them getting greedy, saying buy more, buy more, buy more. So it's going to be really interesting as we move forward what they actually do in the midst of this. Will they get caught up in all the FOMO as well?
That's a good point.
Like we saw that last bear market or last bull market, institutions were coming in, right? Like people who actually had money who work for institutions. They were like, on the low key buying at the highs. It's like, what are you doing? Like, you guys know better, but they got caught up in the FOMO thinking it was going to go to 100 million, right? Like I saw one thing, BTC is going to be at 1 million, then 100 million. And I'm like, yeah,
no, it's not.
No. Okay. But
because people sell.
Exactly. When you see that fat paycheck in your bank account and you no longer have to work again and you can live on interest, because interest rates are most likely either staying steady at 5%, which is pretty good if you think about it. If you got $1 million, that's $50,000 of side hustle coming in every single year. That's $700, $800 a month USD
right
coming
in the pocket.
Right in the pocket. Boom. Have a nice day. Thank you. And all of a sudden that money just goes into another fund or something else, right? So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens with Bitcoin and a lot of the altcoins as they move. But on a side note, and I think this also might help, and I don't know why, but whenever you see lack of war happening or people, unsteady, it's going to be really interesting.
Did you say lack of war?
Yes, lack of war.
So there's no lack of that.
Well, let me put it like this. So we know, obviously Israel has talked about going after Iran, right? And really starting to saying we're going after the main hub and we're going to drop bombs on them, but also on the other side, Putin is going around and talking about how he wants to stop the war and he's done, and he wants to say, hey, let's, will Ukraine come to the table? So it's going to be really interesting to sit there and see what happens here with Ukraine and with Russia. Both are very, very strong on crypto. Both countries believe in it very much.
And both, if both of those things settled, it would be good for the world economy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, everyone would have to sell their defense stocks, but it would be good for the world's economy. Get the world's supply chain moving again properly. Although even with the war, Russia will be excluded. I have to imagine, just as the Soviet Union was excluded for 70 years or so. I think Russia's done being in the world economy until they have a complete change in government. But it would be good. It'd be good for crypto. It'd be good for the whole world. It'd be good for energy prices, which will have a down pressure effect, whatever the right terminology is there, on inflation, which would be good. But to move into a little a fun side note, not to be all serious all the time here, I put on the screen here a tweet from Bitwise. Announcement today: the Bitwise Bitcoin ETF becomes the first U.S. Bitcoin ETF to publish their Bitcoin address of their holdings, so people can do proof of reserves. Now anyone can verify Bitwise Bitcoin's ETFs holdings and flows directly on the blockchain. On-chain transparency is core to Bitcoin's ethos. We're proud to walk the walk. So guess what the degens started doing today? Guess what? As soon as they published their address, what did the degens do?
Attack!
They started sending to that address, first of all, Bitcoin.
Oh, that's so funny.
And ordinals with all kinds of stuff inscribed on it. And not all of it good stuff, I might add. Apparently cam girl stuff can link in ordinals just as pictures.
Really?
You can put whatever URL you want in there.
That is so funny.
I know. And so now their proof of reserves account, which is supposed to match 1-to-1. They Gensler went, at first we were like, well, they don't have to hold 1-for-1. They can short things. They can do all kinds of stuff. And they finally came out and said, no. At the beginning of this, there's got to be a 1-for-1. And we're only going to give full approval to companies that do that. Now there's not 1-to-1.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Now there's not 1-to-1, and there's no way to account for all this. There's no rules. That's their property now. It's in their wallet. They're getting, I haven't done it, but added it up, but I think there's an extra full Bitcoin in there from thousands of people sending, 0.001 Bitcoin to them.
That's hilarious.
I know. It's hilarious.
So good.
So if you want to help with a little internet degen activity, go to Twitter and search for Bitwise's postings, and you'll find their wallet here. And inscribe what you want and send it to them, and it'll be recorded forever in their wallet.
Forever.
Good morning, Carmen Crypto.
What up, Carmen? How you doing?
Still morning for you. Afternoon for us, 1:30 p.m. We got a late start. Actually, we didn't get a late start. We just picked a different time to start today. But good morning, Carmen Crypto. What's going on in the mighty Las Vegas? Let's send them some DYOR. I don't think the DYOR tokens EVM stuff's going to work on the Bitcoin wallet scheme thingy there. But it's a good idea.
You know what's interesting?
What's that?
That they're talking about with the Black Rocks. I think it was a Black Rock or why am I saying Alameda? Holy moly, if I can even remember what I'm about to say here. Options. That's what I'm about to say. They're trying to put options on the actual ETFs.
Yeah.
So you can sit there and trade. If you have an ETF, you can put options on it. And I'm sitting there going like, wait, but there are already options on it. So how does this work? How's this going to work? I think it's going to be really interesting. By the way, is my voice better, guys?
It seems to be from what they have said. I boosted your mic on my end. So even if it drifts away from your face a little, I turned up the gain, as they say. Oh,
nice, man. Nice.
Let's see. Chuck says, fine, we'll just mail it to them.
That's funny. You would think also with the people talking about the Ethereum ETF that we would see a pump in Ethereum, but it's been really interesting to see it sell off. So it makes me wonder, what is the SEC? I mean, I know they've talked about March or maybe even April, but I think that just seeing that actually happen, I would expect to see it more. I'm more of a buy the rumor, sell the news type of thing, or excuse me, buy the rumor, sell the news. There you go. But coming into the halving here, I would expect that would start to really pump. I mean, just because of what we saw with the BTC ETF coming. So really interesting, really interesting to see what's actually happening.
Well, I think. Sorry, I'm just trying to bring up some of the web pages that I'd warehoused for this. I think one of the things that is important is not just the having. I say it. There's no wrong. There's just that time when the block comes and you get half the rewards. However you want to say it, say it. I'm going to stick with having and try not to say having because it sounds stupid. But I say it anyway. There's a lot of things between now and then. Well, Pedro and I will do other shows about the actual halving as we get closer to it, because it could be a non-event. It was a non-event for Litecoin recently. It halved. The price didn't move at all. Now I understand that that's not Bitcoin at all, and Litecoin has no dominance in the market, so it's not something you can compare it to. But what you can compare it to, it looks like some ads just got placed. What you can compare it to is the other halvings. See, I said it again, on Bitcoin, and what happened before that. And I was watching some videos and reading some articles about that and see what's the important things that go on between now and then. One of the things is that you do see a consolidation in BTC. And you also see kind of two things happen that depress the price. One is that the miners are going to get half the rewards. Now, we understand Bitcoin's up 100%, so the miners are getting more than double the reward in US dollar value. Same amount of Bitcoin as they were earlier in the year, but the conversion to US dollar is more. But the miners need to generate more hash rate. So what they do is they start selling Bitcoin. They start selling the Bitcoin that they've been warehousing in order for them to invest in capital infrastructure, make capital investments in infrastructure, buy more miners, or get rid of the older ones and buy more efficient ones, or invest in new power plants, or however they do it to increase their bottom line. And they're doing that by selling Bitcoin, and they're starting that process already. And I was reading an article about that, which, because I'm using a different system, I don't have all the screens up here. About that and how miners are not just dumping. I shouldn't say dumping. They're programmatically, whatever the word is. They're selling Bitcoin as payments come due for their miners. And a lot of these miners, the people go out and pay. You'll see an announcement. Such and such company, Hut 8, buys 36,000 miners for $154 million or whatever the huge number is. They don't always just put that 154 million down, so people are like, oh my gosh, they're going to dump all this Bitcoin. No, they go through their bank and they go through finance companies and all that type of stuff, and a lot of times they don't just buy them, they lease them, because these things have a short a life before they get rid of them. So they might do a capital lease, they might buy it, depreciate them, depending on where they are, their tax structure. So there's it's not always a dumpage, like, oh my gosh, Hut 8 or US Mining Corp or whatever is going to dump all this money on it, kill the price. They might be selling $10 million a week, boop 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 boop, which in Bitcoin land is nothing. But if you have 500 exahashes of mining power of miners doing that, especially if they get Chuck if Chuck unloads, unloads all of his mining Bitcoin here, then all bets are off, and the price of Bitcoin is going to go down before that. Yep. That being said, there's a whole second part of this thing that people don't pay attention to until it's time to FOMO, and then the good things happen. And that's what I'm talking about. Pedro and I have been talking about altcoins a lot recently. Because there's been some pumpage in it. And if you've been listening to our show the past couple of days, you've noticed that Pedro putting up charts of altcoins that looked just like this Bitcoin one here. And is it still Bitcoin up there? I can't see it.
Yes, it is. No, actually, it's this Cardano. I apologize.
It's the same as this Cardano one. It's that everything pumped until about the new year, until basically New Year's Eve. They rang the bell, dropped the ball, all kind of sent the fireworks off the Burj Khalifa, and they also tanked the price. The big October to January 1st buildup had ended, and now you see the market correcting and the money coming out of it for various reasons. And so altcoins have been coming down. Pedro and I say, well, is it alt season yet? It should be alt season. One of the things that seemingly does happen as we get closer to the halving is that FOMO happens. And while we talk about FOMO and not FOMOing, don't FOMO on your own. Be the first to FOMO. Cause other people to FOMO into your trade. And so we see what's going to happen is my prediction is that the altcoins will pump right up until the halving because people won't know what's going on with BTC. They won't. History doesn't show that BTC pumps right at the halving date. But they want to invest and they got to put their money somewhere. And altcoins are going to go with that. What are you looking at there, Pedro? Just flipping through charts?
Yeah, I'm just flipping through the charts. Matic, AVAX. I mean,
they all look the same.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, but here's the thing, though. It's like one thing. I mean, if our people have been following what we've been doing, I mean, you guys got in at the longs here. We knew it was going to be hitting the supply here, and then we're coming back down.
Welcome, Derek. Ka-ching, ching, ching. No sound effects today, but ka-ching and a guitar riff. Wow.
What up, King? What up, Space? How you guys doing? It's good to see you. But either way, when you consider just the value that we're bringing here, right? Like, all right, guys, don't be buying here. We're gonna be selling off, right? I kept telling, just wait.
Good afternoon, Space Cat.
It's one of those things that BNB. But I gotta say this though, and this is actually what's kind of blowing me away. Is look at Tron. I mean, Tron is. When they didn't close below here, and I started seeing real volume step in at these lower levels here, and we started seeing I'm impressed with them. Like, look at that. Now, I'm not, are they going to stop the market? Again, we have our monthly supply up here, so I think, it'll probably come up here until we see sellers step in, and then, it'll revert back to what the market is doing. But it's really interesting to see that instead of having lower highs and lower lows, they're actually having higher highs and higher lows. So it's really interesting to sit there and look at Tron, just from a trading perspective. TRX, USDT, USD, USD. What was it? USD. Thank you. I'm sitting there going like, wait, what? Here we are. Like even on the USD, right? Like it's just. Look how strong it is. It's pretty impressive. So it's going to be really interesting to see them as in this next bull run. Are they going to continue this? I know they have an extremely strong community, so it's really interesting to sit there and see what's actually happening and what they'll do here at these lower levels or at these higher levels. Because the thing is they didn't sell off. And that sell off.
Well, that's a good point. How are they doing since December 30, end of December? Yeah, they're the rare, group here that didn't sell off. That's interesting. I wonder if we can trace that to their foundation dumping some money into it to hold the chart into place.
But possibly. But I also know that they're receiving a lot of money from the USDD, crypto.
USDD?
Yeah, so that's what their coin is for.
Okay.
USD, where is it? USDT. Here we go. That's their. So it's like it's a way of income coming in for them. So potentially they're back at and they put a lot of money into keeping their why am I forgetting what it's called? Stable coin here.
Not so stable.
Not so stable, but they put a lot of money in holding that. So they're definitely defending that. So it's really interesting to see them come back to peg. Right now they're sitting pretty much at about $1. They're at 99.7. So they're still in that 99 cents, and they've held. They've held and they're holding strong. And so when you use that in their, they've got a huge amount of people who use them. So that money's coming into their coffer So like I'm looking at going, is this the next potential BNB? Did they go? Do they happen to skate the wrath of the U.S.? Potentially. I mean, Justin Sun has kept his mouth shut. He hasn't talked much. He's not out there in the sun, even though his name is Sun. He's being smart from a. He's being smart in his geopolitical movements, and he's not trying to make a lot of noise, but he's keeping things moving. So it's really interesting to see them showing strength here, and they've still got money coming in. They've got a huge amount of people that are on their blockchain, literally transacting, and so there's money coming into them. So it's really interesting to see what's happening here with Tron and USDT. They've got a couple other stuff going on within their blockchain. So, kudos to Justin Sun and what he's done with Tron. Hopefully it stays well and things are awesome. Like that's my hope. Nobody wants to see anything go bad with against people's money here. So good leadership there. You can see. So that's all I got to say there.
Well,
and
I wonder what caused such that let's see, the end of November, massive depegging. Looking at that chart, it's never pegged well, but
yeah.
I guess it's they may not be trying too hard. It must be an algorithmically.
It is.
Oh,
that's exactly
right.
what. It
is.
is.
Yeah, that's right. We talked about it. I talked about it in my algorithmic show. Whatever that was.
Yeah, it's a little bit different than obviously what is his name? Do Kwon's system, where he had a cycle group, or you could sell off, or you could buy and you would sell, and you could and then you can add shorts on, and that's pretty much what they did. They basically just crushed Do Kwon off of his algorithmic coin, right? And just it was actually, it's sad, like when you think about it, like. But the key is he also talked a lot of trash. I mean, unfortunately, he was the one who said, we're going to see a big fall, and you'll see a lot of these big, guys, crumble. And he kind of laughed about it. And look, he was the next one to fall. So you got to be really careful. You got to stay humble here. I mean, like Goggins said, work hard, keep your mouth shut, and stay humble, right? What up, Pitt? How you doing, Pitt?
Pit Monk in the house, ladies and gentlemen. Let's take that quick break to talk social media and how it helps us out. Our subscriber base keeps growing. We're approaching 10,800 right now, which is still amazing. It slowed down a lot from that little bit of viral we got, and from looking at the subscriber numbers go up. Not all of them are making it to the show here. Well, that would be great if we had 10,000 live viewers. The sponsorship opportunities would change quite a lot. And thank you to those. There's been a couple of you viewers that have reached out to me about sponsorship opportunities that you forwarded to your communities and that type of stuff. Please let us always keep us in mind for that. As I tell people, we're looking for like the holy grail of sponsorships, and that is for a big name company to sponsor us, sponsor Pedro and I to go around and do our show from probably 4 or 5 big Bitcoin or crypto trade shows a year, blockchain trade shows a year. That's not going to happen, but we're asking for it.
Why do you say it's not going to happen, man? I mean, who would have thought that when I said, you know what, we're going to be at 10,000 by the end of the quarter?
That's true, Pedro. That's true.
You know what I'm saying? You don't know. And I mean, and it very much could be very easy. Something could catch again. And the reality is all of a sudden we've got 400 or 500 people in this chat box, and then we got the OGs, you know what I'm saying, like Mr.
That's
Jansen
right.
and Dado, and then Pit Monk, Space Cat Ka-Ching, you know what I mean?
I don't think Mr. Lawton is here today.
Lawton.
Oh, that was an English accent. No, he's Irish accent.
Yeah. Mr.
Irish
Lawton.
accent, but I think he lives in Spain. I'm not sure. Can't tell. Anyway, welcome, Pit Monk. As always, thanks for helping us with the outreach and getting the word out, and letting us know what's going on in the main nets. NetZ, whatever, main NetZ, and with the NetZ project. Whatever. I said it right this time, but I said the whole thing wrong. Chuck Jansen says, OG checking in here. Crypto Mike says, sup, Pit. But anyway, and also we're looking for all other types of sponsors. I'm in the process for filling out a grant with the Epic Games to use their Unreal Engine and help us pay for learning and how to use it, the setup and all that, and equipment and all that. It's a low chance, but good things been happening to us, so I'm going to try it out. And of course, we're always, if you're a new viewer and you represent a company that does sponsor or place endorsements or product placements and things like that, Pedro and I are open to all levels. From the $2, I want my $2.
$2.
Super chats. To whatever your company does. Forward it to the right person in your company. That's my sponsorship pitch for that today.
$2. It's yeah.
Crypto Mike, I don't know what the heck that emoji is. Oh, it's
that's what's up.
A dude with the headphones on. What's up?
What up?
And thank you to everyone watching on LinkedIn. Appreciate it. And I'm looking this way because I got the LinkedIn screen going here. Thank you very much, LinkedIn peoples. And of course, I saw the Facebook counter tick also. So for those of you listening on Facebook, we don't monitor it that much. But come on over to the YouTube, the great YouTuber. Just go over to YouTube search box, type DYOR Media, and our show will come right up. And you can join the conversation live and help us with the engagement. And so on that note, I was talking about what else is going on with the halving. Oh, look at this. $1.99, ladies and gentlemen. Woo!
Oh, snap.
It's our lowest one yet. Thank you, Chuck. Thank you, Chuck Jansen, coming in with the $1.99 super chat. Appreciate it. Do we hear $2, $2, $2, $3, $3, $3, $3, $3, got a $4, got a $100 in the back there. Thank you very much. As I always say, it doesn't matter what you contribute. It shows the algorithm, shows the great YouTube algorithm that our fans are actually interested in our show and not just bots from Indonesia somewhere. And that something good must be going on here. So we like to have a good conversations in order to get people to donate so we can beat that algorithm at its own game. Pedro, your comment that we'd be at 10,000 subscribers by the end of the quarter, we clearly beat that. What was your next level? What did you say after
So then I wanted to do about 50,000, either 50 to 100,000 subs by the end of the year was my goal. And then when it comes to live, I want to see basically about 1,000 people, 1,500 people coming in, talking with us and hanging out with us. That would be awesome. We have an AMA. But I put it like this: when it comes down to it, you reach for those goals and you get going.
That's true, ladies and gentlemen. You gotta make those goals.
Yeah, you just keep going, and if you have nothing to strive for, then you just kind of get lost and go. You just kind of almost lose heart. So those goals are something to keep you pushing for. So like I said, if we could if by the end of the year, by the second quarter, we could be at about a 25,000 mark here. Now, that's my next goal, right? 50, low goal for the end of the year is 50,000, and a high goal is 100,000. And if we could get maybe by the end of the quarter, maybe 100 people, 150 people on the live chat here, then all of a sudden you start getting that exponential growth where, that's what I'm saying, like 1,000 people coming in, talking, having a good time. It's like going to a rave, man. Everybody's just talking and have a good time. We're like, woo, let's go. Obviously, we're gonna have your DJs here, but hopefully, the majority of us is having fun. Oh shoot! Wait, we just got Pit Monked. Yeah, baby. We got
Pit Monked.
Yes, Pit Monked. We next bid. 2001. Can I get a 4? Can I get a 4? Can I get a 4? Get a 4?
Two pounds, 1 pence, ladies and gentlemen, all the way from the great country of England in the great kingdom of the United Kingdoms, in the great United Kingdom. Thank you very much, Pit Monk, for turning us truly into an international channel with your sterling donations. Let's see. Chuck said, phone is weird compared to the desktop. Especially on LinkedIn. I have to manage both the LinkedIn ones. And LinkedIn on the phone is great. And LinkedIn on the desktop, for live, not for other stuff, but for live, it's all jacked up. You can't see anything. You can't do anything right. Clickbait YouTube titles will help. That's true. That's true. And I'm not good at the clickbait, but I can work on it.
We do. We need to get
actually
better.
what a lot of people do is they do their live show and get people interested in what you actually want to talk about, and then after the live show is over, they go change the title into more of a clickbait one, change the thumbnail, and I just gotta start doing that.
It's funny because I hate doing stuff like that. I feel like it's almost dishonest, but it's the only way to really get doing it, get it moving. So it's like get the information out there. But I mean, either way, it's one of those things I feel like it's not. I just don't like fully doing that. Like I'd rather make sure that we don't have the clickbait stuff. But what are you gonna do?
That's true. Pedro, I'm gonna spend a second here getting the video ready for from our sponsor.
Oh yes, sir. So we can go over some charts here. All right, guys.
To play for Troublesome Creek while he's watching here, but so give me a minute or two to do that while you review some stuff.
I shall. So like I said, I was checking out when it comes to Tron, they're doing pretty good. I mean, they held this supply, like they pushed through the supply pretty hard with good volume, so that supply then would become demand. We came down, we tested that 20 period, and really just pushed up. So it was really impressive to sit there and see what's actually happening. I think when I look at this, the trade is more or less happening on the weekly, so I could see this continuing all the way up to honestly that 12-cent mark area, that 12.9, 12.3 area, until we do see a decent sell-off. So it's really interesting to see what's actually happening here. Now let's check out a few of these elements. So I'm just going to cut through these here real quick. So you can see here BNB is still sitting at that lower end of the range here. We've talked about this. It's right now we're just kind of playing. Talked about the 50 period moving average, us hitting that, and if we can see volume coming off of that 50 period moving average, we're coming back up to the higher end of this range here. If we don't see a lot of volume, we'll see it kind of flounder around at that 50 and then see it start to descend down to these lower levels of the 240 212 area, which is kind of sitting where we're talking about. Now the next part, when we come here to check out XRP is descending down to these lower levels I talked about. I do expect us to come down to that 32 31 area, simply because there's just not a lot of interest in it as of right now. People really buying or keeping this, right? We know that it has great tech, but they've also got great expenses, and they're selling off their coins, so you can see what's actually happening to actually pay for people. Now, I believe when we do come down to these lower levels, people will step in and go, this is really cheap. This is a discount at these lower levels. Let's get in. So be ready for that, guys. We can check out ADA Cardano. Now, Cardano has been one of those ones that has done great since the end of September, moving from 23 all the way to 69. I mean, that's pretty impressive, right? What is that? 2, 4... It's almost was it 4?
Yeah, but they've had, what, a 40%
3.
pullback here since their highs?
Yeah, good little pullback. But I do see the lower level down at that 34-cent area there, as well as the 23-cent area potentially coming back down to it. If we look at the Doge, that's funny when I said that. When you look at Doge, there we are. Boom. Here we are. There we are. Okay. When you look at Doge, Doge is really interesting. We came up and we hit the 10 cent mark area here up there, and then we did a nice little sell-off at that 0.7 cent. Now, obviously, it's about halfway, but personally, I do like that 5 cent mark again. Potentially, the reason why I say this is these areas are potential areas where it's bounced before, so I could see it's coming back down and then rallying back out, or staying at about that 6 cent mark. That 6 cent mark could also be another area of support that kicks in, and see it rally hard off of it.
I'd like to know with Doge, are these I thought I was getting myself in an area to point at the screen better, but I didn't. Are all those huge buys there's got to be a website that correlates Elon's tweets with those huge buys. There's got to be something like that, because who in their right mind would all of a sudden get together and buy tons of Doge to push the price way up, unless it was a fundamental news event like.
No, absolutely. I think you are nailing it. Every time he would tweet or even talk about or mention it, rarely, right? People just get so bullish. They're like, "Oh, this is going to be it." So he definitely got a cultic fan base there just on him, let alone Doge. So you got the community plus people who are just 100%, follow him like a messiah. So, just saying, like legit, right? He's gonna
got their
the
Birkenstocks on and Jesus beard and all that type of stuff.
All of it, man, absolutely. So, but he's the great FU guy, right? So
he's got FU money, that's for sure. How many of you guys wish you had FU money? All of us. And he's one of the guys with FU money that in public used it when he sat on that stage and says, "Oh, you're gonna try and blackmail me with money? F you. Go. Yeah. I can't even. Was he making gang signs of some sort? Go F yourself. I loved it.
What blew me away was when he did that, he was so adamant. He wasn't even joking or playing. He just simply really? He goes, "We'll let the world decide. Really, we'll let because he knows his base. He knows that he's got a cultic following. And there's just no way him turning a blind eye to somebody or him turning an evil eye to somebody it could be a death issue, right? Legit. So he knows that. So he's just you know what? F you. We're done. And let the world decide what. And sure enough, the world did decide. Disney. That's it.
Those poor guys. They fired. What did Disney do now? They fired their CEO. And trying to bring back an old one or something like that, or whatever the story is. It's a mess. But welcome, Joseph, to the show. Joseph, first-time poster. Maybe you've watched us before, but poster, thank you very much for joining us. Whatever community you came to us from or however you found us, let us know. I'm willing to bet that at some point he says, "Oh, Pitbunk sent me." But welcome to the show. We put on a good show here. Use education and entertainment to bring you good content. Hear about crypto and the digital economy. Can't say that enough. Pitmonk says, what do you guys know about a project called Zen? I'm glad you keep bringing that up. The chart looks a mess, but it's not the purpose of Zen token. Zen is being minted on 10 blockchains to later be burned for their X1 chain. Yes, that's true. What I do know about Zen is that Jack Levine, however you say his name, I think he was the 20th employee at Google. As they say, he got out of Google with a nice fat bag, and has gone on to be a pain in the keister for other crypto projects that aren't as transparent and innovative as he's trying to be with Zen. And he quickly took the Zen project onto pretty much every blockchain that would get volume attention in order to get people to mint more Zen and get them into the ecosystem. And he started his X1 blockchain, not the layer 2 X1 blockchain that some other group started, knuckleheads, but an X1 blockchain, and it's basically spending. He said, "Look, this is 5 years in the making at least, so don't mint and expect to have any money to turn around." And in fact, after everyone minted, the price went down minus 99% or something like that. But he said, "Don't worry about that. We're not caring about price now. We're setting up the infrastructure for a new blockchain that, when it gets fully launched and fully rolling, millions of people are going to have the token on hand. And then, as liquidity gets added, the whole thing will just explode." That's what I know about it. Other than that, it's really effing complicated. He's got so much stuff going on, and there's an NFT for this to be able to mint that, or you can mint this without an NFT. Then you have to go to this website to track it. Then you have to go to that website to track it. Then there are community people like my friend Wes designing websites that track other things on it for your mints and all this type of stuff. And you got to remember when you minted stuff, and you got to remember how and which wallet. And it's so complicated. But I've been trying to get Jack to come on here, and thanks for bringing it up again, Pitt, and getting it back in the great algorithm so we can point to this section of it and say, Jack, get on this show. Just do it.
Just
Be here.
do it.
Just do it. Get on this show. We need you here to talk about it. Before, when I first asked you, we were a small show, and a small channel. Now we're a medium channel, but still a small but bigger show. Got a better community now. It's time for you to come on here. But thanks for bringing that up, Pit Monk. What did I want to? I wanted to put something else on screen here. Oh, right. I went for Troublesome Creek. I wanted to do the answer from our sponsor regarding the video. I'm going to play this, and I have sound enabled, and StreamYard usually works for this, but I'm not sure that it's going to work. So let me know if you can't hear this. It's about a minute long, and I'll play it again. First, I got to add it. Then I have to do that, and then I have to play it.
Thank you for your question. So to answer this, it basically boils down to the accounting method that you're going to apply to any given asset within your portfolio. Generally speaking, FIFO, first in, first out, is going to be the taxation method that applies to your portfolio. And if you meet certain criteria, you can use specific identification on an asset-to-asset basis. I don't want to get into all the details of that on this video because I'm trying to keep this short. But in most cases, you're going to default to FIFO, which means the first asset that you purchase, the earliest one that you purchase, is going to be the first one sold, unless you use specific identification, which is going to have to take under consideration how you were managing your assets on chain and across exchanges.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, let me know if you heard that. Pedro, did you hear that?
Yeah, I heard it pretty well. Did the audience hear it pretty well?
I don't know. Well, in theory, you hear the same thing that the audience did.
Okay.
Audience,
Yeah.
let us know if you heard that. Troublesome Creek, let us know if you heard that. All right, thanks for the feedback, ladies and gentlemen.
Definitely. Good to know. Awesome. Thank you, Troublesome.
So let's get you, Troublesome Creek. Thank you. Hopefully, Patrick's advice will save you some cash monies in your taxes. To summarize it, just to be clear, what he said is that generally the way you do it, and the default way to do it, is first in, first out. The first thing you buy is the first thing you sell. But however, if you actually have a method for keeping track of what you buy and what you sell in a way that somebody could come in and audit, like the IRS, you can pick and choose which ones you want to sell. Like on some blockchains, that's really easy because there's things have numbers associated, like NFTs have a mint number and that type of stuff. Yeah, and you can tell, bought this one, sold it for that. Other things like ETH is not so. You're just buying a small share of a very large pot of gold. So you can choose, if the item has an identifier, you can choose to use that identifier, or you can do it by date. Say, on this date, I bought 20 of these that have no identifiers. They're just part of a pot. Like if in the old days, stock certificates had serial numbers on them, and you could say, I'm selling stock certificates 1 through 2. Then they got rid of stock certificates, made everything electronic. And so you'd go back and say, I bought this tranche of these things on this date or in this period, and I'm selling those. And as long as you keep good records, it works. So that's in essence what Patrick was saying. So Troublesome Creek, thank you for your super chat. I really appreciate it. And so does Pedro. As we say, all of that stuff goes to helping improve the channel and getting us hammered. No. Just got to make sure you guys are listening.
Yeah. What's funny is I have a friend of mine who works at a local brewery where I'm at, right? And so I was talking to him. I said, hey, quick question for you, man. If you have guys who are consistently coming in helping, just buying. I go, do you give them discounts on the beers and stuff like that? And he goes, no, we don't. And I was like, but why wouldn't you not? Like, I mean, they're constantly coming in, and he goes, because the scale of one over the other. And I sat, and he goes, simply because like drinking is one of those things that you just don't know what could happen. So if you get a discount, if you give a discount to somebody, they're gonna keep drinking more, and they might just get hammered and hurt themselves. So I'm a huge proponent of not drinking. So that whole entire getting hammered, never. Never.
Well, it was something that happened a lot more earlier in life, and now that a few marriages have come and gone, that doesn't happen as much.
Yeah, alcohol is one of those things that just
Yeah, helped with the first two marriages and not with the third. Because the third one is important.
Yeah,
I should say that. The current one. It's the third one.
The current one. Leave that one.
See if she's listening. No, all's good is there. But as you get older, you can't do that stuff as much, though. I mean, when you're younger, when you're in school, you could be more irresponsible. You could get up in the morning, even though you polluted your brain last night. And now that you get older and see, you got financial responsibilities and things for kids like that. It's amazing how waking up with a clear mind is a much better alternative than waking up feeling awful.
Yeah, dude, it's just you're there. You're actually connected. You can actually emotionally connect, especially in marriages. I mean, the guys who are out there drinking and then can't connect to their wife. Something you need to. Oh, I hear. Anyways, but on a side note, let's go ahead real quick. What were your thoughts on Russia really trying to get around the sanctions and really building their own blockchain, and how they're trying to set things up with China, and how that is all working out? Do you think they're buying Bitcoin during this time period, especially the sell-off? I was thinking about that the other day.
I think they're trying to buy Bitcoin, but they have better uses right now for their foreign currency reserves. They're not able to exchange rubles for Bitcoin because there's just not a big on-ramp for that. If they can get and if they get the Russian banks to buy it, they're using their foreign currency reserves, which are in short supply right now, because basically all the foreign currency they get is from the Germans and the Indians paying them basically in U.S. dollars for oil and natural gas. And but I don't think this goes back to my talk about the BRICS things, and that you have to remember that all economic decisions and success or failure of those decisions ultimately ends up succeeding or failing based on the trust in the market of your product or your story or your whatever. And the Russians don't have a good story. They let their country, I'm just going to say, all the way back to the Bolshevik Revolution. I understand that the monarchy back then wasn't doing well by the peasants. They just kept them poor and all that wasn't a good thing, and revolution happened. But ever since then, it's been one giant organized crime family running it. And running it badly, running the country, the economy badly, all this type of stuff. And except for very small periods in like the 30s and right after the war, World War II, the world has not trusted the Russian government. With economic decisions or anything else, really, because they've been using flawed decision-making processes. They've been using emotional processes, or they've been using, what's in it for me type stuff, like how can I get to be the leader by killing everybody else and taking all their money. And so I think their efforts at their own blockchain, their own financial, like they're pairing with the Chinese to do an end run around the SWIFT money transfer system. Ultimately, they'll just be niche products. And the reason is because no one else trusts them. Just like if they said, I think my viral on BRICS Gold went viral because, in the BRICS Union went viral because I was basically telling it like it is, in which he said, unless everybody trusts you, they're not going to invest their money with you. A great example is are people lined up to move their money into Russia? Well, not just from the U.S. I mean, from anywhere. And the answer is maybe a little bit from Africa, some diamond mine money and that type of stuff. But But the answer is no. And nobody's looking to emigrate to Russia, and nobody's looking to set up businesses in Russia to go there as a land of opportunity. They're, if they're going to set up a business in Russia, it's like to go get that oil or that copper or whatever. And so the world doesn't trust them. And so whatever they come up with, it's just going to be a small niche product. And and people will use it if they're forced to, their blockchain or their payment methods. But generally, at any time, any of those could go poof. I mean, all it takes is, one, we'll just say a leadership change in either Russia or China. And, all of their minions are out and the next guy's minions are in. And the old system fed the pockets of the old guys. And so there'll be a new system. And the new system, we'll have to start over from scratch. Just like when a mafia crew takes over from another one, there's all new ways of collection, That's what I could talk about that forever, but it's a good topic, Pedro, because people talk about that in the news a lot, and it drove the viralness of our BRICS videos.
But I also want to.
But I still don't think it's just like, nah.
Well, here's the thing, and this is, I think, one of the things that I'm always thinking about, right, is when it comes down to crypto, because crypto is so versatile. And the fact is that it can be used for anything, right? Whereas, the US dollar, you can only, even though it's the primary transactional fee system, right, that people use for business, but it's still one of those things that when you consider from the grand scale of things, it's flawed because it's a fiat and it's overflated. So if we start to see a huge a big push, and again seeing the dollar rise because Trump's getting involved, well, that's going to hurt a lot of these countries from a financial system. And Trump has made it very clear. I want to see the US dollar be the strongest and biggest, so we can buy more stuff, right? But what it does is it then also pushes down the economy of many other smaller countries. And so it's one of those things that it's like, as crypto keeps becoming more mainstream and really starts to do a lot of good things as well as not the best things, right? It's just, I sit there and I say, it just gives power to the smaller countries coming together and just saying, the enemy of my enemy is, what is it? The enemy of my enemy is a frenemy, right? Is the term. So it's just one of those things that I sit there and I go, from a brick standpoint, it just kind of, granted, they may not trust him, but when you're having a hard time feeding your own people, and you're having hard time,
very true,
taking care of the people who need, basically the majority of America or majority of the world is democratic, and so they vote for their people, or they vote for their and we call it vote, but they do their best to kind of vote for their own monarchy or prime minister or president, right? So it's one of those things. I feel like
you do what you know, as they say.
It gives power. It will keep giving power to crypto, and so I just wonder how many of them are actually buying crypto and onslaught and getting ready for Trump, 2024. So
I don't know.
Wondering.
Troublesome Creek posts that not only was Russia corrupt, but Ukraine is even more corrupt. I disagree with you on that currently. In the past, with the old government, I would say that's very true. Let's not forget the former president of Ukraine was one of Putin's best friends and the godfather of his daughter. So he was the insider there, and he was the reason the Orange Revolution happened in Ukraine, and they elected a TV actor instead. But just one of the things that is going on, and trust me, all the old Soviet and Warsaw Bloc states do have problems, plenty of problems with corruption. But if you listen to the mainstream news in the U.S., especially Fox News and the right-wing news, which I do listen to, so I can get that alternative point of view and be confused by people. But we're not sending them billions of dollars to use like when you see a package says Biden approves $200 billion in aid for Ukraine. They don't get a big box of cash, like like we were paying people in Iraq during that war. What they get is weapons, and what happened. And I know this because I read about it, but I was in the defense industry and saw how this worked. And it's working the same in both the U.S. and Canada right now, is we go over to Diego Garcia. For those of you familiar with the military, know that Diego Garcia is in the middle of the Indian Ocean, and it has billions and billions of dollars worth of military equipment on it. And they go get, let's say we need another 10,000 Javelin missiles. They go get a whole bunch of them. And they ship them over to Ukraine, give them the missiles, the anti-tank things. And then they go to Raytheon, or Lockheed, whoever makes it, and issue them a $10 billion contract to replace that. So technically that was, $10 billion in aid to Ukraine. But nobody got any cash money there. There wasn't any cash going in anyone's pockets there. Now, I'm sure there's plenty of funny business on the ground with aid being delivered. I used to work in Africa a lot and saw a lot of aid being diverted by the regime in charge, and things like that happens everywhere. Low-level guys on this kind of stuff. And you can't get around that in any country, including the United States. Things get diverted. I was talking to a guy the other day about the Buffalo and Southern Ontario Mafia, and it's still a thing, and they divert all kinds of money out of the ports into their pockets. It still happens everywhere. But just as my point of view is that when you see in the mainstream media that, oh my God, these guys in that country are taking all that money we're giving them, we're not giving them any money at all. We give them stuff that they blow up, and then we pay our own defense contractors billions of dollars in basically free profits to replace that stuff. So that's how that works. It's going on in both the U.S. and Canada now the same way. Cash always ends up missing, troublesome, and it seems to be always missing out of my pocket. It's like, I have a 21-year-old son, and periodically I look at my wallet. I'm like, I'm sure I had $40 in there. Now there's only 20. just like the vodka missing out of the vodka bottle in the freezer, and there's some missing because the vodka that's in the freezer is frozen, and you're like, wait a minute. Wait a minute, vodka doesn't freeze.
That's funny. That's actually really funny.
My son actually did that to me, and Mrs. Striking and I confronted him about it, and it was hilarious. And he was actually, I'll tell the story to lighten up the mood a little bit.
Definitely.
Mrs. Striking and I enjoy a nice martini periodically, and I drink a gin martini, and she drinks a vodka martini, and she said. We made them, and we were like clink and go to sip them, and I was like, mine is delicious, and she goes, mine's not right. And I tasted it, I'm like, yeah, it's not right. I'm like, it kind of tastes like gin. I was thinking I must have used gin twice in it because they have these two little shakers. So I remade her a drink, got the vodka back out, made her another one. She tasted it, she goes, no, it's still gin. I'm like, what? So I got the vodka bottle out, and I was like, oh, there's gin in the vodka bottle. And I was like, what's going on here? Well, my son had taken some of the vodka out and poured gin in it. so the bottle wouldn't look so empty. And we confronted him on it, and Tasha's like, Mrs. Striking's like, did you perhaps liberate any of the vodka? And he just goes, yeah. Didn't realize gin smelled so much. And then the other time it was like, yeah, I didn't realize that I'd put so much water in it that it would freeze. But he owned up to it, didn't try to lie or get out of it. So I gave him credit. We just laughed. I said, this was before he's 21, and now he's 21 and can buy his own booze. But funny kid stories, yep.
At least he was trying to think it through. I mean, you got to give him props to that. At least he was trying to go through and hit it. It's interesting though, especially with what we're seeing with crypto becoming just a world phenomenon, especially that is becoming very, 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 very. What's the word I want to use? usable. It's just becoming usable. It's
Yes,
becoming
usable.
yeah, like very usable. Like people can use it and they can go through. And it's not just so. It's not like even like 2 years ago when I first got into it, people were just like, "What is Bitcoin?" Still, like they knew about it, but they just didn't understand it. Now people understanding blockchains and how it works and how they interact with other things. Watching it actually go through. And really, like now, people are waiting for that halving, and sitting there and going, okay, is this going to get big? A lot of people have a small bit of crypto, whether that's on a central exchange or they really are in it and they're buying it on, decentralized exchanges. Either way, I sit there and I'm just like, man, I'm really kind of excited to sit there and see just it becoming so big. Like people are really wanting to use it.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know. I'm really, and the other thing is, if we start to see inflation really go up again, like we've been talking about, right? It's going to be another thing that we're going to see a lot of other people around the world taking loans out with their crypto again, like we saw in the last bull run,
Leverage is all I got to do is say leverage is bad in crypto because there's still while BTC hasn't been that volatile lately, it's been moving on the upside. BTC's known for those 70% discounts. Anyway, a little feedback. I for Troublesome Creek, little feedback from Patrick Camuso, our crypto CPA here. I said thanks for sending us the video. It went over well on the show. And I said, not only that, we got a $5 super chat out of it. He said, glad the feedback is positive. I look forward to providing more advice when your viewers ask.
Awesome.
So, as I always say, if you got questions, go down on the bottom and click that link to Camuso CPA. And you too can get evaluated and told how much the IRS really wants of your money. As a reminder here, this price of Bitcoin above my head is not live this time because I'm using the temporary studio, so this is just a image back here, not our 3D studio. Just as a reminder about that.
Nice.
All right, before we get further, because Pitmonk has been good to us today, why don't we look at the NetZ chart again?
Absolutely. Let's check it out. So here we are. Come on. I have like 4 screens over here, so I got to find my little... let's check out Nets. All right, so again, NetZ. You guys can see it's definitely a lot of oscillation going on here. So, I mean, a lot of buyers, a lot of sellers actually happening. So, I really, by looking at this, let me go ahead and pull on a smaller time frame.
Seems to be a flag forming there. What did he got there? The 4-hour chart? NetZ 4-hour?
Yeah, definitely. Let me see here real quick. It's a nice little range here it's going on. It's kind of an equal amount of buyers and sellers stepping in. Give me 1 second.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Pedro obviously has a call. That's the worst ringer I've ever heard. It's just, I don't even know what that was. It sounded like a bird being strangled by a cat whose tail is being run over by a car. That's what that sounded like. Anyway, while Pedro is taking that call, let's talk about the NetZ. But Pitmonk has let us know that that NetZ here, and full disclosure, I own $200 of this stuff, just as a fun trade. I'm not messing with it at all. But Pitmonk has let us know that this is a level 1 blockchain, that they were in testnet for a while. They're running their mainnet. Now they're in 5 exchanges, I think, maybe 6 exchanges, not in DeFi. They're on exchanges first. They're taking a little different tact from everything else. And so since they're not in DeFi, there's no real way to rug pull it. There's no liquidity pool they can yank or anything like that. But their blockchain runs very quickly. They've done 444,000 test transactions recently, and they're getting ready to go bring their DEX alive on February 16th, I believe. So pay attention to NetZ. My friend Zach Humphreys, crypto YouTube creator, is also reviewing them. I think I think Zach is a validator for mainnets also. But anyway, that's what's going on with them. So we're looking to see what is going to happen before and leading up to the launch of their DEX and their NFT marketplace. Although their NFT marketplace is not coming out at the launch of their DEX, that's the next product in their roadmap or something like that. Anyway, Pedro, have you returned there?
Yes, I have. Yes,
Alrighty.
I have. So yeah, NetZ is just consolidating between, like I said, between the 140 or 14.5 to the 11.58 area. You can see it bounced off of that 200-day period moving average sitting right there. It just appeared, but you can see where it would have been if it was appearing. So it's one of those things that it would have been about right. If you follow that, that would have been about right here. So we definitely bounced off of that 200-day. We've been kind of playing off of it. So it's gonna be really interesting to see. You guys have by the buyers coming in. Every time it sells off, there are buyers that are stepping in. So I just wonder who those buyers are. You know, like that's really, is that the team buying the coin, or is that people buying the coin in the community? Right.
No, they've got a fairly active community. I've spent some time in their TG, both under my regular name and as a lurker, and they seem to have good traffic in it. And they have a lot of spaces that people do attend. But I'm not vouching for the authenticity of anything that's said in any of those rooms, that's for sure, because that's not what Pedro and I do. Just saying that they do have. There is some interest in it, but I, to be honest, Pedro, I don't know how widespread it is outside of the community itself. I do know that they did sell out. They did have a pre-sale for their future DeFi token. That people are limited to so many of them, but they're still being said. When you go through the tokens wallet holdings, there's some big wallets in there, so things you need to look out for. Pitmonk says the community is buying, as far as I know. Well, that would be wise if they believe in their own project. But anyway, Pitmonk, thanks for bringing them to our attention. We'll pay attention to NetZ up through the up through the launch, and either we'll talk about it more on the show as a good thing that happened, or they'll become a story on Rugged, Ruined, and Wrecked, and we'll tell that story on that show instead. Guess which show you want to be on? This one. Not the other one. The other one, we're getting the goods for season 4 of Rugged, Ruined, and Wrecked, and you don't want to be on that one.
Really, I actually look forward to being on it myself.
All you got to do is screw something up, and you can be a star in that show too.
Oh yeah. Talking about iron. It looks
Iron. It's Ireland.
Iron. It's actually starting to sell off here. We've actually, and with some decent volume, it was actually bought back, but it looks like it's still not really going to keep holding her. So like I said, I expect iron to actually come down to that $31 area for a nice little area for about, excuse me. I don't know why I get so tired. I mean, towards the end of the show, I don't know why, dude. I just always get tired.
Hey, it's that time of the day. We're in Eastern time zone. It's 2:30. That's that's the traditional time that I wish I could take a nap. No, I never get to.
Data.
Pedro, take it. I'm gonna get 5 here.
Yeah.
Look at these guys. Got 10,000 viewers just napping.
How is that? You know what? When I think about Caesar's calls, and I was thinking about this the other day. There were times where people would say like he was on 24/7, literally 24/7.
Yep.
And people would come in and he'd be sleeping, He'd be like, hey, and he'd wake up like, hey man, how you doing? And that's when he was still building. Now, the guy makes probably, I mean, he probably realistically makes about 30,000, 40,000 a week, because
I don't
he's,
know why anyone gives him any of those places any money. I just don't get it.
well, they work. I mean,
I
and
don't believe they work. I think
I've
it's just
when you look at the calls and you sit there and follow it, I mean, ultimately they do work, but it's, it's a hit and miss now, because it's just, a lot of it is coins that
pump and dump. I'll say it.
yeah, there you go. But jump into Theta. Theta here is looking to continue further down as well, and I would assume that we're going to probably see some type of sell-off down to at least that 8-period moving average, which is right here. If we do see it come back down even further, I could see Theta. Let me pull this up here real quick. Yeah, see, there's nothing really here. Legitly nothing really here until we get down to this level here. And people might not want to hear that with Theta, but
could be bad.
that's it right here. I mean, who was following Theta?
I can't remember. I brought it up and someone had said, yeah, I've been following that too. I'm not following it anymore, so if we want to trash paying attention to that one's fine. I have it on the, that's right, I had it on the, which I don't have access to today, our watch list that usually sits in the corner over there.
Oh, we got crushed. If we bought all the way up here. Ouch.
Yeah, it would have been a crushing. Why don't you take a look at NEAR, NEAR? I think we've looked at that in the past. You might still have some current lines on it, as they say.
Let's see if I have it on my other list here. NEAR USD, yeah. So yeah, we hit a lower level here, and on
what time frame is that chart?
This time frame is the month. So
I'm thinking it's like a 5-minute chart or something. I'm like, what the hell's going on?
No, this is definitely the month. We're playing off of that 20-period moving average sitting right here. This is where we're finding support. And it's nice is we're almost halfway. I mean, we're already almost done with the month, and the selling pressure didn't go too deep. Even though we had maybe half the volume of buyers here, you can notice here that you had a decent amount of sells, and it's looking adequate. I mean, so potentially this could be setting up for it to rally up to that $6 mark. So looking at that, I would say looking at this dollar mark here, this could be a nice little trade. As it comes down, you can see here that we didn't put any seller wicks here, and all of these seller wicks have been traded through. So a lot of the sellers have been taken out. So now I see us coming back down to that 20-period moving average around the $2 to 170, 150 area, and then seeing it rally back up all the way up to that 624, 610 area. Very plausible. And then after that, see it maybe come back down and then pull and push even further higher. So I mean, it's kind of set up for a decent rally to start moving. Yeah,
I think that's the first one we've talked about, first alt recently that we've talked about, that you've said, hey, it's set up for a rally.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, because the amount of volume of sell volume coming in off of versus the buy volume of previous months, it's coming down to a decent area. And also there's a 100-day period moving average. So this little area potentially could see a nice little push up. Whereas volume, and I'd pay attention. What's the market cap of here? Of NEAR?
Oh, I have no idea. I sorry, I was going through the comments. I wasn't looking at the chart here, and I've got it blocked out here. Just coin market cap it. Pit Monk says first. Chuck says near, far, wherever you are. It sounds like a Fletch line. And Pit Monk says, I'd like to hear about Jasmy, Jasmy.
JASMY.
Yep.
USD. Here we go. Let's check out monthly. Pretty similar. That monthly chart there. Coming down, we're hitting that 8 period moving average. We've already popped through the 20, so there's no resistance there. Good. So that's right here.
This is for you viewers. I can see it finally as a 1 month chart.
Yeah, this is a monthly chart. Give me 1 second. Where you at? Supply. Right here, and then after that, man, you've got I mean, you've got a decent. This one is coming up to that monthly chart. Nice little sell-off at the beginning of the month, so it's giving you your seller wick, or excuse me, your demand wick at the beginning of the year. You can see here, this one didn't put, this is what I was talking about for Bitcoin, right, last year, is that it didn't put in any type of real demand wick. So typically you see a sell-off to take the demand and then find support on either a zone or a higher time frame SMA, and that's exactly what you saw here. So this area here is potentially, I mean, now that it's rallying, these guys are taking profit on these shorts here.
Why don't you show us the daily chart there?
Give me 1 second. Let me check out the weekly real quick. And we've traded through here. We have a higher high, or excuse me, we have a higher low, and even though it's a lower high, we're seeing good volume here, whereas when we were going sideways on the weekly chart, you can see that as we started to pop, we started seeing decent volume, not excessive, but at least decent compared to back here. So let's go and check out that daily. So the daily here, boom, pops up, going in. So you can see, even though you had the majority of the red over the last month, you can see a deceleration of selling pressure. So now,
Right.
So we
That's
should.
interesting.
Yeah, you should.
Getting ready for alt season before
Yeah.
the halving. That's what's going on. Chuck, no more Celine Dion song lyrics. If you want to get banned from the show, that's a good way to do money. $2 or not, Celine Dion songs right to the tank here.
Oh, that's funny. That's awesome. Yeah, this is ask Pitmonk or Pitmonk. How'd you know about these guys? What are these guys about?
Let us know, Pit Monk.
Yeah, let me give a demand area here. Here. Demand. Here we go. And then we're gonna go right here. Go to the weekly. Yeah, it's that weekly right here. Sitting on right here.
So Pit Monk says it's been accepted by their gov. I don't know who they is though.
Whose government?
Right. That the government from Eddie Murphy and Coming to America.
Coming to
Wipers.
America. Wrong movie. I don't know why I started singing that.
You're doing a little Neil Diamond there. That's what
I
you're
was. Well, I was thinking about
The jazz
Born in
singer?
East LA. No, Born in East LA. When I was a kid, you remember with Ching Chong, that guy, what's his name?
Cheech Marin or Tommy Chong?
Cheech Marin. And he was like, remember, it was like born in East LA. He basically goes over the border to do something, to drop a friend up, and then he forgets his wallet. And so he looks like a Hispanic, and he's like, "No, man, I'm an American U.S. citizen. I live in so and so. Dude, just call my wife." And they're like, "Yeah, buddy, whatever." He goes, "You sure got a good accent." Yeah. So I was like, "Come," and when finally he just had it, and he got like thousands and thousands and thousands of immigrants. Basically, what's happening now, and just to come over the border.
Coming to America is one of the best, just the best movies. Soul Glow. Look, boy, if you're gonna keep working here, you gotta lay off the drugs. Yo, Stu, stop falling down the stairs, shit. The rent's due, mother effer. You hear me?
Oh, the best part, he's like, F you too.
Yes.
He's all
speaking of FU2, Pitmonk says that was from Japan.
So you're telling me this is Japan's blockchain?
Or it's legal in their country, at least.
Awesome.
Not a lot of stuff is legal in Japan ever since Mount Gox went in the tank.
Belly up. Yeah. That hurt. Dude, I mean, but people are getting paid now. I mean,
people are getting paid, yes, ladies and gentlemen. And thank you to the viewers that we have right now. Just a little feedback thing here, incremented up a little bit here. Thanks for joining our show. If you're new, Pedro and I do this show called DYOR Live, in which we talk about the markets, we talk about policy, regulation, and we try to use a little education and entertainment to make your crypto day a little brighter. And we periodically, can't speak, what I meant to say is, we periodically have good guests on too, in which we interview people. And we do it unlike all these other shows out there that have zillions of viewers, in which they just get up and say, "Oh, dude, bro, yo, what's happening? It's up. Yay, it's down. Okay, whatever." We try to have a real show here. Got a real show, got real viewers, and love it. Love every minute of it. So thanks for tuning in, those of you that are new. And if you are new and are so inclined, type a comment here. Hit that like button and do all that type of stuff, because it really helps. It really helps us. And I think that you will really enjoy it.
Yeah, let's put this on our watch list. Definitely.
Yeah, we need to remember that, because I don't have that software in front of me, so we need to remember. Jasmine, Pitmonk will remind us.
Yeah, that's a decent, that's a nice little setup got going on there. So I would US dollar, here we go. Yeah, it's nice. Oh, that's the wrong one. It's funny, and with the US, where is this at? Which one was this for? Give me a second. Jasmine, or this one was for Bifinex. All right, no, that's not the one I wanted. No, cancel that. Jasmine, boom. I got a bunch of workers outside working. Do you guys hear them? Oh no, you got a count voice. Forgot. Yes. Where did it go? US dollar. There we are. There we are. US dollar. Coinbase. There we are. Boom. All right. As me. USD. And. Alrighty. Yeah, so but after this, I mean, dude, that's potentially, man, that's a pretty good, that's 6, because we should go through this. The fact is that it came up, tapped this, came up, tried to tap it again, and it played off that 400 period. We'll hit this supply area, come back down, and then you'll get to, I mean, what the all-time high is. What is the all-time high? Oh, this 35 cents. Wow, 35 cents. And right now, it's
35 cents is the all-time high. Wow, that went down a lot.
Yeah, but the thing is
Went
it's
down 1,000%, 1,000x, or at least 750x.
yeah. Well, I mean, 35 cents. That's 100x you could potentially get off of that.
Yeah.
Wow, that hurts for the people who had to write that thing down. But
What was the price a year ago from today? Pitmonk says he's been collecting for a year now. Where did he get in?
oh, nice, man. Shoot.
Oh, well, yeah. It's depending on where he got in here.
Yeah.
He would have bought some more expensive stuff and some less expensive stuff.
Good. Yeah. Good. Nice, man. Like that's a decent price. Getting in. So if you got in at the 2 cent or 000 or 002, that right there, man, that's not a bad entry. So you potentially could see this thing. And if it's, I the reason why I'm paying attention to this is because the fact that Japan is let this thing in. So it's definitely been doxxed. Definitely I'm assuming they're everybody who's running this are all docs. They know who they are, and it's a real because Japan, China, it's a very communal group, right? Very
Right.
communal, and so it's like if this starts to move, let's say a hedge fund or somebody starts to pay attention to this and starts to see it pump money into it, all you see is all of a sudden you see the whole entire nation jump in and start buying it.
Nothing like a little good national FOMO.
It's how it happens, man. All we need is another COVID-19 and everybody to get paychecks, and all of a sudden we got money going again. I remember I was talking to a friend of mine. He was sitting there telling me, "Oh, COVID's going to come back because the Democrats, want to change the ballots." And I said, "Dude, that is not going to happen." He goes, "Watch, be prepared, buy, get ready to sell a mask again." I said, "All right, whatever, dude." But
Pitmonk says Rencom are linked to this too. I believe we talked about RNT the other day.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, that's really interesting.
They have software for Sony and others. Well, that's some big money stuff.
That's Rencom?
Rencom.
What was the
RNT. RNT.
RNT USD. RN. Oh, that's RD.
RNT. Scroll down.
Keep on scrolling. Nope.
Maybe it's RND? Bitmonk, we off there? It says RNT, Rencom. I'll type Rencom, see what comes up. RANCOM.
Oh, they're executives. So the devs of Jasmine are executives of Sony CEO.
Or, I don't
Or
know.
our exes.
Ex Sony CEOs. Sony have that many living CEOs that they could all be involved. Bunch of old guys. Yeah, that one needs a little clarification there, Pitmonk.
Yeah, but that's Rencom. RNT. I pulled it. Give me a second. Let's see here if I can. Are they on CoinMarketCap? RNT.
I have to imagine they are.
Rencom Network. There we go. Trading Bureau.
They haven't been on there that long.
Yeah. So let me go pull up here real quick.
That's funny. That it's linked to if you click on the trading view there, it links to an invalid symbol. So something's up. They're not that anything's wrong with the project. It's
Yeah, they just need to go through and get that corrected with TradingView.
You see, look at the comments over next to you there. It's from Gene Gibson. First comment, you see nothing more than a scam that is currently funding another scam, shilled by that person, Mighty Crypto. Wow. Very interesting.
Oh, I think that stuff is dumb, though, bro. I mean, when I was...
So everything is bad news on CoinMarketCap.
Yeah, I was going to say, dude, like, I literally had... When our project was doing good, right, and it was doing awesome, dude, we literally... The guys who said to us, if you don't give us money, we're going to go on every social media. So that's why, like, a lot of these, I sit there and I go, oh, that's BS, dude. So in the back of my head, I'm always thinking, I don't really pay much attention to these now because they literally have farms. Literally, they have thousands of bots that just they deploy against you, for money. So, but I mean, at least what I can see over since November, and I believe November is when it launched. Because I'm 1 month. Yeah, it looks like in October is when it launched. Interesting. Really interesting. I'll check them out. RNT. Let's see if we can pull them up here and RNT. USDT. Rincom network. Here we go. Oh yeah. Boom. So peak was at 157. Oh, see, not 157. $1.57. Wow, not bad. So it literally did a. And this is during.
Yeah, that peak wasn't there for long though. I mean, if you take all those wicks out of there, what's its kind of theoretical high there? About 75 cents, really?
Still 75 cents when you're sitting at 2 cents?
Right.
I mean, that's not bad, man. I mean, they've been around for about 2 years now. So, I mean, August of 2000 and what is that? 2023. So.
Pitmonk says, I think you're on the wrong company. I don't know which one he's talking about, this chart or an old chart.
Well, I did Ren, and it did give me Rencom.
Well, we reviewed someone.
What was the RNT, right? Rencom?
Good question. Anyway.
Yeah.
Time to move on from that one.
Yeah.
Pitmonk, if you want to send us a link to it, Pedro will warehouse that link, and
we'll find it. We'll get it. We'll definitely get it.
And if you do, drop it in the Telegram for us after we close out the show. These links are hard to find if they're in the comments.
Definitely.
Speaking of, I haven't checked my Telegram in a little bit here.
Well, I gotta go use the bathroom real quick. So
thanks for letting all of us know, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, I apologize. I'm gonna let you handle this while I go take care of something, and I will be back in a minute. All right.
Oh, the honesty on this show.
It's real. It's real. I don't know if it's professional, but it's real. All right, I'll see you in a few.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, one of the things I wanted to let's see if I can bring this up here and add my screen. That's not the right screen. Where's that screen? Where'd it go? Oh, new software, new work protocols that I'm. Stop sharing screen. Now present, share screen. Window, this one. We had some news, as most of you guys know. You hear me complain about CBDCs, central bank digital currencies, a lot. And there's been some news out of that in England. They said, well, let's hold on a little bit. But more importantly, in U.S. elections, are CBDCs becoming politicized? Let me try and bring that up here. There we go. Are they becoming politicized? And if you notice, before Ron DeSantis dropped out of the race, we'll get a little U.S.-centric here for a little bit for you foreigners. Before Ron DeSantis dropped out of the race, Florida caught the attention of the CBDC people because Florida passed a law saying no CBDCs. It may not be a forever law. It may be like 5 or 10 year thing with a sunset on it. I'm not exactly sure. But they passed a law nonetheless saying, hey, we'll not accept any CBDCs, and no retailer in this state is allowed to accept them. And obviously, if the U.S. federal government went ahead with it, U.S. would pass laws to override state decisions, but the states can push back and make it difficult for the federal government to enforce their policies, enforce their laws, or just sediment. People say we don't want to take these things, then the government has to basically pay to set up. If you think here, let's back up a little bit and why you hear me complain about CBDCs. One of the reasons why is that the centralized control. Nobody likes that. Nobody wants to deal with that. Nobody wants the federal government saying, well, if we just tweak this a little bit, maybe we can prevent people from spending so much money on carbon type things, like on gas, fuels, that type of stuff, and more things like on tofu and green stuff. And nobody wants to be able to be told how to spend their own money. Obviously, there's lots of rules that tell us how we can spend our money now. We can't give it to terrorists. We can't do certain things with it. We can't legally buy drugs with it, we can't legally buy illegal things with it. But people still have this stuff called cash, and they can do that. With CBDCs, we know they put a halt to that, even to the point where they would track you. And if you tried to buy something not on the approved list, like in China, you'd get a text message right away saying you're being fined or automatically deducting $100 out of your account. That does happen. They use facial recognition in China at intersections, and if you jaywalk across the street where you're not supposed to, it recognizes your face, you get a fine right away. Taken right out of your account. Boom, done. Imagine that. Imagine you got to go pay your rent. You got $1,000 in your account, and you're on the way to pay the rent, or you're going to pay it that out, and you jaywalk, and they take $100 out, and now you can't pay your rent. Imagine that. Anyway, but the point is why I'm rambling on about this is that it's becoming quite politicized in the U.S. And because there's a push within many governments to have CBDCs, because groups like Ripple and Stellar are paying lobbyists some big money to push them and say how good they could be. And the starting point of that is in central banks, where they say, oh, well, we can use this type of thing to settle transactions between the major banks, between the U.S. and the U.K. bank of right now, which they use the SWIFT system like this. They go click, and it's done. And governments don't worry about things settling. They work with the Bank of International Settlements. There's a whole process for doing that. They don't really need anything to go faster. And so the idea that it needs to be faster and even better by using Ripple's product is basically BS. So are the elections becoming hyper politicized? They are. Chuck, thanks for joining us for the show. Back to your day job. Appreciate it. Appreciate the time. Appreciate the super chats, including the $1.99. Thank you very much. I wasn't able to do my $2 quote from the movie Better Off Dead, but I'm going to do it anyway. I want my $2. That's a damn shame. Throwing away a perfectly good white boy like that. It's one of the best lines in movies. And the actor John Cusack is in a trash truck hiding from somebody. Anyway, you'll hear in the election cycle people talking about that to raise the specter of the evil government. And in one side, I'm not going to get into parties in the U.S. government. Why is that still up there? It should not be up there. In certain political parties like to scare everybody about the U.S. government more than the others. And you'll hear it by saying, oh, our guy is going to keep the U.S. government from doing these things, so everything is fine for you. These people want big government, and they want to control every aspect of your life, so we're not going to do that. And so they politicize the central bank digital currency thing a lot. And by doing that, it creates the fear, and the fear index goes up, the voter fear. And it pushes people from one side to the other that don't know anything about it. I mean, of our viewers here, we have, 14 viewers across different platforms. Probably there's one or two of us that could fully explain a CBDC and how it works. But all of us have the general concept of it. But the people that don't watch these shows and don't participate in crypto have no idea. All they think is that that they read some article or watched something on Fox News that said, this is bad and you should not like it. I happen to agree with them there. It is bad and you should not like it. And so they politicize it for anything else, and then bad rules get written, because what happens when legislators write laws based on emotion and the news cycles, you get bad stuff. So anyways, one of the things to watch out for in either the U.S. or in your own country, wherever you're coming to us from, watch for the way the media bends it, because it depends on the political party leaning of it. And in some countries, like in the U.S., there's two political parties that are it's us versus them, or them versus us. But in a lot of your countries in Europe, you've got 3 parties. In Italy, they have 792 parties. And they have everything from, which means there are 792 different stories on the same topic. And everyone's fighting for that press soundbite. And everyone's spinning the story differently.
We're talking about CBDCs?
Yeah, there was this article here about during the U.S. election cycle, are they becoming overly politicized? And my answer is yes, they are, because most people even don't know about them. They just hear in the media that big government bad, they're trying to take your money and control everything, which is not something that's out of range of government, not because they are evil, but it's because of you always hear me talk about mission creep and how every government bureaucrat wants to make their job easier, and they do it, and everyone's job gets easier if there's a more efficient way or a more bureaucratic way of doing something, because they can't get in trouble, they can't screw things up, and they can get promoted for writing policy on new things. So that's my beware of things today. Pedro, I assume everything went well for you. We're coming to the end of the show here.
Yes, sir.
Chuck and a couple of people had to run, but I'd like to quiz you on. Chuck says, "Apologies for the song lyrics." It's just, I just never got into that. And I have to admit, my mom and dad were big Celine fans, and they were like, "Oh my God, she's the best singer ever." I admit her voice was good. She was a proper singer, not one of these crazy people that just screams on stage and has 1,000 dancers to distract you from their poor abilities. But her songs are terrible. I mean, it's just...
Listen, my heart.
I know that's my opinion.
Will go on. My heart will go on.
Oh,
Near and far, wherever you go. He's about ready to. He's deleted me. Hey, did you mute me or no? Oh, that's funny.
You're not muted.
I was thinking you're muted. I thought you were looking down to mute me. That's funny.
Chuck says couldn't help the lyrics.
It's all good. One thing about CBDCs, and I think, like, if we actually had a good government where they wouldn't want to try to control every bit and piece of our life, they actually would be fairly good. The problem is the government going to be cool about it? And that is no, because they're not cool about anything. You know what I'm saying? Just the BTC, ETF, you could just see how that just went stupid. Sounds recording some lyrics. Pedro should record. Boom. You know what I thought? Honestly, this was legit. I thought if you were to remix the that My Heart Will Go On into like a more of like a kind of rap beat, with like some real like reverb going on with the but it'd be like more reverb with it and playing with it. I thought it would sound dope. I was like, it actually might.
No. Anyway, I scrolled down this article here a little bit, and this is the classic story of misinformation here. They're talking about countries conducting proof of concept of central bank digital currencies as of January 24. And it looks like, wow, North America is really, or America, the Western Hemisphere is really going at it. They have Canada outlined here, including all of their islands up. It looks like a huge part of North America's. Yeah, Canada looked at it, and the Central Bank of Canada came out with a report said, no, it doesn't make any sense to have a central bank digital currency because it doesn't solve any problems. They said, all right, let's think of problems that people could have that would warrant introduction of a central bank digital currency. Well, one thing is the underbanked, the people that can't pay for things right now. All right, so it could help them because the government could directly give them like welfare benefits or something like that, and then they could directly use them to pay for things. Okay, that's 0.01% of the population. I'm not talking about people under a certain poverty level. I'm people that literally cannot get a bank because their life is basically the homeless. Because they have more issues going on than just not having a job and enough money. They have mental issues, they have drug issues, all kinds of stuff. But the Central Bank of Canada said, no, there's nobody in our country that we can find that doesn't have the ability to pay for what they need to pay for. If they need to buy food, they have the method to do that. Whether it's cash, whether it's a debit card or credit card, or exchanging phone or drugs or whatever, there's nobody out there saying, I have stuff of value that I cannot exchange for food, fuel, and rent. It just doesn't. There's no example that we could do. And they said, and two, the current payment systems work really well now. We have cash, which admittingly is less now, they said. And people use cash less now because Visa and MasterCard, and in Canada they have this thing called the Interact, which is e-transfers. It's kind of like Zelle, PayPal, Venmo, all wrapped up into one much simpler thing that's actually easy to use. And they said we would have to pay to set up a whole new monetary system and a whole new merchant system. Remember, right now, the Visa isn't just a card in a bank somewhere. It's thousands of these merchant systems, merchant providers, merchant payer, whatever. The people that actually take your card and run it, those little machines. There's thousands of those companies that do that handle the risk, handle the transactions, do all this, settle all this, move money around, and everybody can use that. They said we would have to duplicate that and get every vendor in the country, every business that currently has a MasterCard, Visa, or takes cash to take our CBDC account, and we'd have to replicate their costs. We'd have to spend billions and billions and billions of dollars basically duplicating what Visa and MasterCard already have and what cash already does in order to get 0.001% of the nation into the banking system. And they just said, well, why would anyone do that? Why would you spend all that money to duplicate what, 50 years of the electronic Visa, Master Charge, if you're old enough, have developed, and including our ability to e-pay for things now and tap and all that type of stuff. Why do we need to duplicate that for billions and billions of dollars just for a few people that we may be able to bring into the banking system, but we may not be able to bring into the banking system? And so they just said it's absolutely not worth it. And so this map here is basically misinformation. And it's as my friend Ryan Macbeth, not my friend, but my YouTube creator idol, Ryan Macbeth says, this is what's called deceptive imagery, in which you intentionally do something using images to make someone's mind think that something that's not supposed to. And this Canada map makes it look like Canada's, first of all, 50 times the size of the United States, and it's only a little bit bigger. And two is like a big part of the world is starting to use CBDCs, and it's not. Well, it's not, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, it's interesting. It literally has Alaska up there. Going to be using it.
Oh yeah, I did notice that it's got Alaska on it as part of Canada.
I was like, that's nice. Hey, that's a big part of America. Dude, I couldn't believe how big Alaska was. Somebody was telling me.
Yeah,
it's huge. Like
it's like Texas of the North.
Yeah, it was like it's Texas. That's nuts, man. I was like, wow, that's a lot of land. That's a lot of frozen land, man. And like someone was telling me like almost 80% of it is like unusable because it's just tundra and like freezing cold, and during the summertime it heats like really hot with like a ton of bugs, and I was like, really? Like it's like really unhospitable like to live like for like the majority of the year. But there are like 3 months that are absolutely amazing, I guess. So
Look at this thing. Meta / Facebook is building an $800 million data center in Indiana. I mean, my God.
dude, yeah, like dude, I'm wondering like why Indiana?
A confluence of fiber optic cables and fiber optic. There's highways on the ground for pavement for cars. There's highways in the air for planes, and then there's rights of way for fiber optic cables, and those mostly run across through rail line right of ways. In Indiana, Ohio, Indiana, Chicago are the nexus for the for the USA and Canada's freight systems. Because of the Great Lakes, that's how it works out. And so those rights of ways exist in Chicago, Indiana, and stuff, and they cross and all this kind of stuff. So they're good logistics places. Like I lived in a small town in Ohio for a long time, and the only reason this town existed was it was on a river, but it had big industrial parks because it was on two major trunk rail lines can cross there. And so they had made an intermodal facility there, and it was if you had an industrial thing that needed rail, it was a good place to put your factory. And Indiana's just like that too, because you can't go north of it. All the rail has got to come around the bottom of the lake, and even to go from eastern Canada to western Canada, it's faster to go through the United States for both trains and for the speed of light. So that's why Indiana is popular. I didn't read where in Indiana it was being built. I'll bet it's in the north somewhere.
Absolutely, dude.
Of Indiana. Let's see. Newest data center in Jefferson, approximately 825 miles from. Oh no, Jefferson's in the south. Oh, how about that? Must be hitting that. Well, down near. I would say down near Louisville is the same. Is the same thing. It's a rail and rights of way. Jefferson, Indiana. Oh, was it Jefferson or Jeffersonville? Good question. Anyway, it's a topic I'm talking too long on anyway. Jeffersonville. Where is Jeffersonville? Oh yeah, it's right near Louisville. Also a major rail hub coming out of the mountains in the Kentucky things down there. So those are great places for data centers. But $800 million for a data center, that's unbelievable. I mean, that's a lot of. That's not just a building. That's a lot of infrastructure.
Why do you think? I mean, fully. I mean, what do you think? There's something that they're trying to do outside of what they're stating? Because you're saying that's a lot.
It's a good question. Chuck says Pedro should record some song lyrics. And he's back to work.
Okay, back to work. I love it. One day.
Well, Pedro, that's all I got for today that I wanted to talk about. How about you? Anything else on the great list of things to talk about today?
Not really, except I'm still looking. I'm always combing through the charts, trying to find a good deal. Right now, I just feel like everything needs to get sold off. And there's a lot of these lower parts that we need to just come down to and tap. The biggest key is when I really start to see real volume, like pop in Bitcoin, right? Like that's when I really am going to be interested, right? Like really where I think it's time. That big, really green candle with I'm like 3-4 times the amount of volume than what we've been seeing. That to me screams, all right, yeah, it's time. And we just haven't seen that. We just even in this big push up of last year, we didn't see any of that. We didn't see a huge amount of volume coming in. So even though the institutions are getting involved, you need both synergetic movement to push the market So it's coming. I think, like even like down here, like I always bring this up, like when squish this out, like look, this is where we were at 40,000, right? Like 50,000, which is in this, and look at the amount of volume right here in comparison to that's maybe a tenth. And I want to see some where the volume pops from here all the way up to where we see hundreds of thousands of Bitcoin being bought. Even like here's another area, right? Like just this whole entire area. And
yeah, you only see a brief volume blip from the ETF mania there.
Yeah, it's this right here. That you guys can barely even see that. That's just.
Ugh, yep, just a little green little beep.
That's it. Look right there. Boop. Whereas in comparison, like look at this, man. Like just insanity. So that's what I want to say. So that's why I expect this to come back down, do a little consolidation, and then it's time to rally. And I think we're going to see like a type of flash crash. So that's why I keep telling everybody, be ready. Like, look, put your stuff in at these lower levels, like when we come down and we blow through that area, right, where it's just going to crash. I think that's what we're going to see. And then from there, you're just going to see a pickup of at the lower price. And that's where the institutions will get in and be like, boop. So it's just one of those things that honestly, I'm just kind of waiting for. I'm saving my acorns here and getting ready to use them when I need to use them.
Space Cat says, good night, Mrs. Calabash, wherever you are. I just think that's a famous old song by one of the old crooner guys or something like that.
I'll go learn it, and I'll sing it on the show tomorrow.
I'll stick with the Barry Manilow.
Hey. Hey, so the other question that I have, and this is the backside behind it. So are we on for tomorrow?
We're on for tomorrow.
All right. So are we doing the spaces this time, or are we gonna?
Yeah, we're gonna try and link this up into. We'll have the YouTube show, but we'll have the Twitter Spaces going in which
we're gonna have a FRF.
Which it'll be full participation by both of us. I'm gonna give it a shot tomorrow. I'll have to practice it. So if you see our channel going live at like 2 a.m. this morning, it's not because I'm doing a show. It's because I'm testing our Twitter Spaces thing. So pay attention to that. We'll try to do it around noon, 2 o'clock tomorrow.
Yeah, be good. It'll be fun.
And then that'll be it for the day. But all of you that contributed super chats, not just today but this week, thank you very much.
Thank you.
It like I always say, any dollar amount helps, because the biggest help we can get is with the algorithm. Unless you want to drop like 20 grand down there, Just saying, I could use a couple NVIDIA 490 cards to run this Unreal Engine stuff. But not that I need to get things too complicated, but those kind of super chats would really work out, ladies and gentlemen. But knowing that even just the thought that counts, even the small $1.99 or the £2 1 pence donation tells YouTube that this is good stuff and pushes the algorithm into new places. And as a result, we did have a couple of new people come in towards the end of the show. They didn't comment, but I could see their numbers increment up. So as they say, it was a good show, and it's been a good week so far. Got one more show tomorrow for it, in which we are going to do hopefully link this up to Twitter Spaces and get a few other people in there as well.
And listen, come with some things you guys want to talk about, because again, this is FRF, so.
Free Rant Friday.
Free Rant. No, it wasn't free. It was
Rant Free Friday. No, not Rant Free. It was
no free wasn't there. It was
Jimmy Durante.
Rant Friday. It was Rant Friday or Friday Rant. No, dang it! Why is I
thought it was Free Rant Friday. If anyone else can remember, let us know.
Yep. But we'll call it FRF. All right, guys. Tom, I'm good. Hey, guys, be safe out there in this crypto jungle. It's getting hard up here. Just wait. You've seen the lines. You've seen my lines. They work. And just wait until
Pedro's been calling it, ladies and gentlemen. He's called it. He's still in the running with Bitcoin, calling that.
everything else, you name it, it's there. So, alrighty, I'm done. How you feeling?
Good. We had a good show. I still got this BTC banner hanging there. There we go. Yeah, it was a good show. Good show, good week. Thank you to everybody that tuned in. We had about 50 viewers on YouTube, and between the other services, we had another 10 to 14. We had even had two likes from Facebook. I can see them up here on my screen. I don't know about you guys. I didn't even bother to look at Twitter because it's the sinkhole of 3-second views. We'll be working on that with the Twitter Spaces tomorrow, hopefully. But as I always like to say, my name is Tom, otherwise known as Striking here in the digital media world. And we'll be with you tomorrow, so be there.